Welcome to Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. You are going to hear the stories from the eclectic life of a guy who is a professional counselor, a family man, a SWAT team chaplain, outdoor enthusiast, a guy involved with ropes, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, a chaotic Jedi, and who is a recipient of an honorary doctorate from the University of Adversity. Using these stories, we take the facts lead to concepts, and from the concepts we make a variety of life applications. Just a caveat about the facts. Most of the time we will tell you the facts just the way it happened, but once in a while we'll give you the facts the way other people remember how it happened, and that usually includes a tablespoon of embellishment. No harm is meant, just good, clean fun for educational purposes. Please subscribe and share this with your friends or your enemies. It might help them to be better people if they listen. As always, we thank you for keeping up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Introducing the Bible degree with digital ministry. Paul used the marketplace and the synagogue to reach an expanded audience. We have access to the internet and social media. I once heard it said that when McDonald's introduced the drive-through window, they did not change the Big Mac, only how it was delivered. Faulkner University is now offering a new digital ministry track for their Bible degree. Faulkner's degree provides training in understanding and teaching the gospel, alongside training that will allow students to create quality digital content. Opportunities for evangelism in the digital spaces is unlimited, and this is innovative ministry education for our contemporary culture. One of the instructors is a 2-time Emmy-winning former ESPN designer. Members of the Church of Christ could be eligible for the full tuition Jack Zorn Scholarship in order to pursue this special area of study. For more information, contact admissions at faulkner.edu. That is admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a digital partner with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. I had some interesting young personalities in my original youth group. I've had lots of youth groups, and I guess maybe my original youth group was the youth group that I worked with at 25th and Noble Church of Christ in Anniston, Alabama, when I was a junior in high school. But when I moved to Huntsville, we moved to Huntsville in 1986, and that's what I considered to be my original Huntsville youth group, I guess I should say. And they were a unique bunch. Now, I can't name them all, but of significance is Derek Horst, Chris Luter, Dwayne Corder, Tony Allen, Greg Dugan, Bobby Reeves, Jerry Tanner, Shane Phelps, Chris Parker, and Drew Vaughn. Now, I had some girls in the group too, but I'm talking about my guys. Those are the ones I always think of when I think of, hey, when I got started in youth ministry after college, that's the group of guys I moved to Huntsville to work with. Now, this group of guys, we did a lot of things outside. We did a lot of physical activity, and we ate a lot of fast food. And Dwayne Corder had this eccentric, if not weird, method of ordering. And I don't know where he got it from, but he'd walk up to the counter, and he'd strike this kind of an odd pose, and he'd change the cadence of his speech. And the lady would ask him, "May I take your order, please?" And he would say, "Yes." I'd like a burger of ham, fries from France, and a cola from Coke. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who started it, but it was uniquely Dwayne Corder in my memory. Now, when we think about fast food in Huntsville, you've got Burger King and McDonald's and Wendy's and Taco Bell. Well, several years into my ministry, in the vacant lot just south of the Memorial Parkway Church of Christ, Burger King built a brand new store. They built it right off Memorial Parkway, and in a genius move, they paid the extra money to connect their parking lot with the church building parking lot. Many days just before lunch, you could catch me humming in my office the tune of the song, "Soon and very soon, we are going to see the King. Soon and very soon." And I would get the munchies and I would walk across the parking lot and go down the little sidewalk and order at Burger King. Burger King was so convenient to our church building that there was a group of adult men and the guys that I like, and I'm teasing them a little bit, but guys like Howard Tilking and Will Alexander and a few other guys used to have their quote unquote Bible class at Burger King on Sunday mornings. We would dismiss the worship assembly and assemble for Bible class. And instead of going to one of the traditional classes in the educational wing, these guys would go to Burger King and sit around and order coffee. Some wise guy once left a Bible class attendance sheet on the table at Burger King for the Burger King Bible class. When you talk about fast food, you've got all kind of selling gimmicks. You've got the the little Happy Meals, and you have toys and things, and then you have the guys that hawk these burgers. I remember growing up that Jack's had a spokesperson named Cousin Cliff. Cousin Cliff was a local celebrity in Anniston, Alabama, and he was a magician. But I'm not sure who thought it would be a good idea to use a clown as a mascot. Now, Ronald McDonald is beloved by many people, but let's face it, that may be the worst clown suit you've ever seen in your life, and it's just a tad on the spooky side. And until Burger King showed up with their king, I thought Ronald McDonald might be a bad spokesperson for a burger place. But the Burger King, he showed up, and that may be the worst fast food mascot ever. The Burger King, the big spooky head, and the guy in the thin pants with the hosiery and the goofy shoes. Listen, the Burger King makes the Wendy's girl looks like she could sell American Eagle jeans. All right, the Burger King was an animated figure, and he was voiced by Alan Swift back when he first came out, and he was somewhat cute when he was animated. But in 2004, and this is information you can find on the internet. It's not something I made up. He's called the Creepy King. In 2004, the Creepy King was introduced, and the Creepy King head was designed by a guy named Kent Jones. Now, I don't know anything else about Kent Jones. I didn't do a deep dive on him, but no doubt he suffered from multiple childhood traumas, nightmares, and was possibly raised by Stephen King and Tim Burton. That spooky plastic Burger King head is just something I can't get over. Be that as it may, we have the Burger King and the Burger King restaurant. But I digress. We were at a training day with the SWAT guys, and we had done our PT, and we had some guys out of town, and so we weren't really doing as much training as we were maintenance. We went over to the room where we keep our supply closet, and the SWAT breachers, the guys who are in charge of building energetic charges or explosive charges, as some people like to call them, they were building new door charges. Now, all the guys who work on the team as breachers attend a school taught by a company called Esoteric. They use this proprietary knowledge and this proprietary technology and this proprietary stuff that they developed to build these door charges. And when they start talking about building door charges, they talk about things that I don't really understand, omnidirectional or single directional. They talk about things that are self-propagating. They'll talk about a push charge and a cutting charge. They talk about hockey pucks and nunchucks. Some of the charges are built with these long, thin sandwiches with 100-grain det cord. Det cord is an instantaneous burning fuse, and you have these single strips of this material, and then you have this burning fuse put inside them, and you connect them together, and you have these long, thin strips of explosive stuff connected by these long, thin tubes, and they're called nunchucks for obvious reasons. Now, sometimes the distance between the sections need to be adjusted, or the amount of cord that's coming out of one side needs to be adjusted. And you accomplish this by using some kind of a tube. So you have the det cord inside the tube, and the det cord and the tube are closed in on this little square-looking nunchuck thing. And then you can allow the det cord to slide in and out or slide through, and it doesn't get hung up on the soft gel material or the sticky material that's inside the charge. Instead of buying some kind of special thing, instead of trying to buy some kind of new device, the guys figured out that you could accomplish this sliding mechanism simply by using the 100-grain det cord, and it fits perfectly into a straw. Now, it doesn't fit perfectly into a straw from Mickey D, Chicky F, or Taco B. Yeah, you guessed it. The straw that fits perfectly with 100-grain det cord, it comes from Burger King. And so they're building these charges. I don't really, I'm not building any charges. I'm not a breacher. I'm a preacher. And so I said, hey, do you need me to go find some straws? Because they had some straws, but they were the wrong size. I think they were McDonald's straws or whatever. And so go find some straws. So we Google and find a Burger King close to where we were working. So off we go to see the king. Now I walk into this Burger King and I'm wearing multicam pants, combat boots, and a SWAT t-shirt. And I don't remember what t-shirt I had on, but we have t-shirts, with tactical guys on them. We've got one t-shirt that has a skull, kind of like a Raiders logo, with a night vision helmet on. And then there's crossed rifles behind the thing. But I walk in to the Burger King, and I'm dressed in this outfit, and I walk in and I'd like a medium Diet Coke and 50 straws. Super weird look from the girl behind the counter. Now, it may not be the weirdest look I've ever gotten. You see, one Sunday, the Church of Christ at Memorial Parkway, we were hosting an area-wide youth activity. And instead of asking the ladies of the church to make an entree, I asked the ladies of the church to make cookies and pies and things. And I pre-ordered for this group about 100 or maybe 150 cheeseburgers from Burger King. So it gets time for the area-wide youth devo to get ready to take place. And I had pre-ordered these burgers, and I'd called the manager, and I guess the manager had passed it down to somebody. But I walk into this Burger King, and I was accompanied at this time by a gentleman who went to our church named Randy Corder. Now, Randy's a big dude. He's on the large side of overweight, and he often wore this long black coat. He had black curly hair and just enough beard to make him look like Wolfman Jack. And so we walk into this Burger King, we walk up to the counter, and I look at her and I said, hey, yeah, I'm here to pick up 150 small cheeseburgers. And Randy added without a pause, he said, and a Diet Coke. Anyway, that may be the weirdest look we've ever gotten at the Burger King. The girl behind the counter, when I walked up and said, yeah, hey, I need a medium Diet Coke and 50 straws, the look she gave me was, are y'all sharing a drink under the bridge? You see, I realize I don't fill out the fatigues and the t-shirt like the young, fit men on the SWAT team. When I put on these baggy military fatigues and a t-shirt, I look a little homeless, kind of like a homeless version of Ernest T. Bass. I stand at the counter ordering a medium soft drink, and I need 50 straws. And the look she gives me belies her curiosity about the disparity of the number of drinks versus the number of straws. And then I quickly explain, hey, look, the local SWAT team is building door charges. And of all the straws in the world that we could use, Burger King has the best. And she says, well, take as many as you need. So picture me walking out of a Burger King with a medium diet drink cup in my hand and both my cargo pants filled to the brim with as many straws as I can fit into the hip pockets of my pants. Now, And the request I made was unusual. It was a little bit presumptuous, and it could have been interpreted as rude. It could have been interpreted as ridiculous. It could have been interpreted as off-putting. It even could have been seen as an imposition. Why don't you just go buy straws somewhere else? Why did you come in here to Burger King and ask for them? But as soon as the girl at the counter understood why I needed or wanted them, not only was she accommodating, but she told me to get as many as I needed, and I didn't even have to pay for them. Just think what would happen if we could have need-based conversations. You see, one of the famous guys that writes about marriage therapy is a guy named John Gottman. And Gottman talks about that when we are unhappy about something and we want something to change, very often what we would voice as a complaint sounds like a criticism. And so what Gottman says is when you're unhappy, you're in a relationship, you're dealing with another person, and you want something to be different, you need to make a positive request to have your need met. Now, if I'm unhappy about something, rather than talking about the person, I can talk about the problem. Rather than making it sound like a critique or a criticism, it can just simply be a complaint. Then it avoids looking like an attack, and it becomes a complaint rather than a criticism. For instance, I own my own business. I'm self-employed. That means I am my own boss, and I'm also a deer hunter. What could possibly go wrong with this scenario? You see, because I have the ability to change my schedule like I want to, and the places that I hunt are very convenient to my house, I could be gone 3 mornings a week before Jackie gets up. I get up and get out and go hunt before daylight. I come in from the woods and go to the office and see a few clients, and I go back to the woods and I hunt a few hours, and then I come home after dark. Well, Jackie may get tired of not seeing me except when I come in to eat supper. And if she were unhappy with my schedule, she could look at me and she could say, "You're never home." Well, now, if she voices it that way, "You're never home," all I have to simply do to respond to that attack is go, "Well, I'm standing right here. Looks like I'm home. I was home last night. I was home Sunday." If you offer me a "you're never," and I can give you one exception to that, the never goes out the window. But instead of her saying, "You're never home," what if she simply said, "I wish we spent more time together"? You see how that is a positive request to have a need met. And I really can't argue with you about your needs. I might not think they're valid. I might not think they're important. I might be selfish and rude and inconsiderate. But when you make a positive request to have your needs met, that changes the dynamic of the conversation. And all that's well and good if I'm the speaker. I need to learn to make my request as a positive request to have my needs met. But what if I'm not the speaker? What if I'm the person who's being complained to, at, or against? Well, when that happens, when someone says something and it sounds weird, out of place, inconsiderate, mean, rude, or maybe it's an actual attack, what should I do to that? Well, if I respond to that with defensiveness, then defensiveness leads to negativity, and Gottman calls that a cascade into negativity. Well, as I read this material from Mr. Gottman and I work with couples in my office, I began to develop this little idea. What if we just simply used a need filter? Now, if I'm the complainer, if I'm the person that's unhappy, then I need to offer my request as a positive request to have my needs met. But if I'm the person who's receiving it, rather than responding to what sounds like contempt, rather than responding to what sounds like an attack, rather than looking at something and saying, "Hey, this sounds out of place, it sounds inconsiderate, it sounds mean, or it sounds rude," what if I just filter it for the need? What if I could look past how they said it, look past how it sounded, look past the demand, the insult, the insensitivity, or the perceived attack, and simply reduce it to a central need? Yeah, sure, they said this and they said it that way, but what do they need? It sounded rude. It sounded selfish. But what do they need? Infants are selfish. They want what they want when they want it, and they demand it in unpleasant ways. They can't tell time, so they scream and cry and turn red and get out of control with distress at odd times, like at 1 a.m. in the morning or hours and hours before daylight. And you don't walk into an infant and tell them, don't scream at me. Look at the clock. Don't cry before 1 a.m. A good parent filters the cries for their needs. An infant cries and it's unpleasant and it's disrupting, it's demanding, but instead of yelling at the infant for what they said or how they said it, we simply start asking, are they wet? Are they hurt? Are they hungry? Are they scared? Are they lonely? Do they need to be fed, burped, dried, changed, or just simply held or rocked? Just think if we could filter the needs of adults that way. I'd probably avoid lots of arguments, confrontations, and unpleasant exchanges if I just took what people said, regardless of how they said it, and simply see if I could filter it, reduce it to the basic need. I don't even really have to believe it's a legitimate need. It may just be a want for them, and we may not feel like what they want is a need, but if we could see it as such, if I could just attempt to see that they see it as a need. And then if I'm responding not to what you said or how you said it, but responding simply to what you need. You see, when I try to deliver on the needs of others, I see past the words they use, the tone employed, and the implications of contempt and or an attack. I quit trying to defend it and just simply see if I can deliver. If I simply look for the need, the hidden, buried, unrealized need, then my focus is not on me. It's not on how it felt. It's not on how it sounded. And it's not really even about how the request was delivered, but the focus becomes on the needs of another person. And regardless of how the request was delivered, my focus then becomes, can I meet that need? Is it within my power to do this for you? Is it in my power to respond to what you're really asking for? Now, it sounds like a demand, but can I filter it and simply turn it into, hey, can I respond to what they're really asking for? It then becomes a need I can meet. And then the question is, am I willing? Am I able to look past your delivery and just simply make it my goal to try and deliver? The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. Heritage Christian University produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and offers the following degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University, formerly International Bible College, has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt after graduation. For more information about Heritage Christian University, visit www.hcu.edu. That's 3 W's and a dot. hcu.edu. Heritage Christian University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.